And politics has a lot to do with it too. A lot of them are allowing charity car washes to go down into the storm drain, particularly if the Senate council member has a granddaughter that's raising money for charities. So the first answer I get is we're not susceptible to public pressure, and then I see it happening all over the place, you know. So it varies in there. So I get a lot of variation in that area. Most communities do not allow the contract cleaner to discharge his wastewater into the storm drain, even if he can produce drinking water quality. Basically, they want it to go through the PLT W, so they know what's being discharged to the environment. The other thing they're afraid of, the municipalities that had to face this, is if the contractor discharges it into the storm drain, even though it's drinking water quality, that it'll pick up pollutants along the way. Reality of enforcement. For most municipalities, you want to try to achieve the highest level of compliance with the least amount of cost. The highest level of compliance with the least amount. The easiest thing for a municipality to do is to have a hotline where you got 24/7 and public citizens involvement, which is the item number one in your 6 deals is public education and outreach, is to inform and train all the public employees, your citizens, and a lot of communities are starting out doing seminars and stuff in grade schools. So you basically have somebody out there 24/7. We're going to look at 2 communities in particular, Fort Worth and Houston, Texas, because they're so diverse in how they did it. Most communities don't have 24/7 enforcement, but where they have a police agency assigned to that particular exclusive problem. However, San Diego, California, and Houston, Texas are 2 communities that have chosen that approach. Most effective enforcement tool is a 24/7 800 hotline education, municipal employees, businesses, and the general public. It's very low cost and effective, and it gives you 24/7 monitoring capabilities with minimum cost. For many municipalities and urban areas, enforcement is on a complaint basis only through the hotline. Voluntary compliance with environmental regulations on cosmetic power washing. With over 12 years experience to draw on, we found out that the contractors will comply if they're logical, reasonable, and rational. If the regulations are not logical, reasonable, and rational, then there'll be a high level of compliance on nights and weekends when enforcement at its lowest. In order to stop that, you're going to have police action. In other words, you're either going to have logical, reasonable, and rational regulations, and if they're not that way, if you don't have a high level of police enforcement, you're going to get the wastewater into the storm sewers on nights and weekends. So the objective is how to achieve the highest level of compliance with the least amount of expense to the municipality or urban area. Minimize the cost of compliance. The municipality should allow discharging to the sanitary sewer by the contract cleaner. This will have no impact on the PLTW, as proven by over 12 years with the city of Fort Worth. The amount of waste water that you're getting from the cosmetic cleaner for cosmetic cleaning is insignificant when compared to the amount of wastewater you're putting through your PLTW. You will not be able to measure it. The basic BMP is no off-property discharge in directing the wastewater to the sanitary sewer, nothing down the drain but rain. I'm going to go over a few common BMPs. In most areas, cold water washing with no chemicals is considered no worse than a rain event. Therefore, cold water washing is allowed to go down into the storm drain. We recommend that if you do that, it goes through an oil absorbent boom, and I have some on the back there laying on the floor so you can see them if you're not familiar with them, and we had them in the video. And right now, I've recommended to a lot of contract cleaners, especially in phase 2 areas, that if they do cold water washing, and a lot of them are doing power washing with chemicals, they run it through an oil absorbent boom. It's all right to go down to the storm drain, and probably 80% of the phase 2s are accepting that technology right now. Common cold water jobs are car lots, sidewalks, shopping malls, building exteriors, homes, parking lots, and garages. I recommend that they discharge the oil absorbent boom or a filter. Residential car washing. The EPA exempts residential car washing from stormwater rules, but does not address other washing activities like house or deck washing. In most areas, there is no enforcement and no off-property discharge rules for house washing or desk washing and sealing. The main reason I get for that most of the time is because it's only done on an annual basis. It's not a big high priority item, so there's almost no enforcement by any municipality for residential washing or car washing or house washing. Technically, if the contractor goes out and does it, he should capture his wastewater, but there's almost no enforcement in that area. Probably the biggest reason, it's not a significant contributor of pollutants. I've been encouraging contractors to discharge that water to the lawn for bioremediation to try to make sure there's no off-property discharge. And that's worked well in about every area that I'm aware of. Bioremediation to landscaping is a good technique. Michigan finally put it down in black and white. They said they should limit it to 1,000 gallons per month per acre. And over a test of time, that has worked out well. In most areas of the United States, if the contractor will discharge 1,000 gallons per month per acre, he'll be fine. Now, the only time you have to worry about that is like if you get into groundwater contamination, like at Fort Lauderdale or Miami Beach, where the groundwater is only 2 or 3 feet down, or you can hit groundwater just digging post holes. But for most areas of the country, we don't have a water table that's high. So unless you have some regional area like that, or if you're on the edge of a lake, a large body of water, where you might contaminate it, that won't work. But over 80% of the United States would not have any problem discharging for bioremediation as long as they kept it down to 1,000 gallons per acre per month. And then they should run it through an oil absorbent boom and do some remediation before they discharge it to the landscaping. Hot water washing. Detergent hot water emulsifier, therefore the EPA treats it the same way. It's spatial waste, so it has to be added to any other waste that's generated. In Texas, it's 220 pounds per month. The EPA does not define hot water. When I worked with the city of Fort Worth, we got to define it as 110 degrees. And I noticed that Oklahoma City defined hot water as any hot water to where you raise the ambient temperature 10 degrees instead of being specific. I objected with Fort Worth of using that type of terminology because also dealing with Phoenix, Arizona. And some of their water comes out of the faucet pretty hot, and I thought that 110 degrees was a better definition of what hot water is. And it was the attorney that come up with 110 degrees. Detergents and acid. Biodegradable detergents are not okay for discharging to the storm drain. They increase the biological oxygen demand of the water, which kills the living organisms. Pardon me. Biodegradability does not mean non-toxic. Okay, usually hazardous waste cannot be discharged to the PLT W. I'd be surprised if anything does. Off-property discharge hazards are normally soil contamination, groundwater contamination, and air contamination.